Nerds Talking, the podcast.
Yo, we talk about lightsabers, stunning your TV screens, what you want to stream, everything beyond your dreams. Want to talk about movies, sports, or even politics? Go ahead and tune into us. We'll give you all of it. Whatever you're debating, Xbox or PlayStation, Marvel or DC, Mac or PC. Teraflops when the movie drops, gigabytes, chips, RAM, no matter what it is, we got all of it. Welcome to the show.
Nerds Talking, the podcast. Welcome to Nerds Talking, the podcast. I'm Lafayette. I'm here with Johnny, Hugh, Carlos, and special guests today from the podcast, Two Hot Wives, Ams and Kat. Ams and Kat, introduce yourselves.
Well, I'm Kat.
And I'm Ams.
And we're two girlfriends who are in open marriages. And our podcast focuses on talking to women about sex and hopefully opening up their ideas about what they can do.
Yeah, we have had such an amazing transformation in our own sex lives. And it's just shocking how little people talk about it, how, people don't have a place to talk with their girlfriends about awesome things they encounter with sex, challenges they encounter with sex. So we try to kind of create a safe space where we can explore that.
And you came on a podcast with four dudes. So
we did.
I like how you said we talk to women.
We do.
Here's four dudes.
Actually, our focus is to talk to women, but we have a lot of male listeners.
I think men are mesmerized and confused by the female mind and the female body. So
I love it because they're learning so much about us.
Yeah,
exactly. Right? It's I listen to the show and it's more like, this is information. This is like,
cool.
And of course, some guys will listen to it and go, this is information I want to hear every day. But it's also, to me, it's like educational to some extent. Like, because see, men, we tend to, we're dirty. We just think dirty all the time. And we don't think women that way, right? Men don't have that thought of women. They just think women don't think like men. We just think about this shit all day long. And then you guys have a podcast go, oh no, we're worse. Like that.
Well, we don't think like men, but we do think about sex and we want to have amazing, awesome sex, but it looks a little bit different than what you see on porn.
Well, and the guys who are listening to our show, I mean, if they learn something and they take that back to their relationship, then we're still helping women.
Right. That's right. We want to help women have great sex.
See how that got turned around? I was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. That was really good. It's like you transferred, like, I learned all this. And their partner's like, no, I learned all this.
That's right.
Listening.
That's right.
That's right. We're very bendy that way.
So Two Hot Wives is the podcast. You guys make sure you subscribe to it. It's fun. It's I guess it's a lot of information, especially if you want to know about open relationships and the swinger scene and like I said, sex in general. But Johnny's first on our board here because Johnny is like in the chat in our text group we have. He's like, I got like so many questions and I wrote so much stuff down. I have so much years of watching porn. I want to ask this and that. Johnny, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, you didn't have to mention my porn watching habits, like kind of a dick move.
We don't think porn is bad.
Well, he made me sound creepier than I normally am. But so I know on your podcast, you guys usually talk about drinks and what you're drinking beforehand. I am drinking water because I want to focus. I want to be focused when I ask you these questions. First off, there's a lot of lingo with your the lifestyle. Lifestyle is a choice of word for people in open marriages and whatnot. Are there other words that
there's a ton.
So first of all, if anybody is listening to a lifestyle podcast, you will probably get totally lost in the vernacular, the words. There's a lot of sort of super secret words. If you get confused, you can check out our website, twohotwives.com. We have a whole page, the Sexy Lexi, which goes into a lot of the terminology. So lifestyle is a big one that basically is the same as swinger or ethical non-monogamy. It's people who are in a committed relationship who have permission from their spouse to have multiple partners.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of confusion between the term open marriage or swingers and non-monogamy and polyamory. Polyamory and non-monogamy are not the same thing.
Yeah.
Polyamory is part of non-monogamy, but they're not exactly the same thing.
Ethical non-monogamy. Because just regular non-monogamy is just cheating. And that's not what we're about.
Right.
But yes, within the umbrella of ethical non-monogamy, there's swingers who tend to be focused more on the act of sex and meeting up with people with sex to have sex. Polyamory is like if you catch the feels and you want to, have a deeper connection with people, then you might be poly if you can love or feel really affectionate toward more than one person.
Okay. I heard on one of your podcasts that you use the term unicorn and
unicorn.
Unicorn.
Yes.
Yeah. So those would be singles. A unicorn is a female single. Manicorn or a bull would be a male single who enjoys playing with couples. Unicorns are often bisexual women who like to explore their bisexuality by playing with couples, but it's not a prerequisite. It's not a requirement.
They're rare and mystical, and that's why we call them unicorns.
So magical. Yes. Although we have a lot of unicorns.
We do have a lot of unicorns friends now.
So is manicorn the only word for guys who can, or is there a matador? Like manicorn is a little
matador.
Well, I think manicorn is just like the opposite of a unicorn, but a manicorn, there's also a bull, but a bull is more in a relationship with a vixen and stag or a cuckold kind of relationship. And so a manicorn I think of as a little bit more broad term. Like it could be just a guy who comes and has a threesome with you and you're
an experienced third.
Yeah, an experienced third. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I didn't coin that. SNL did a hilarious skit just a couple of weeks ago on the experienced third. It's hilarious.
It's really good.
Okay. That's one question down.
That was one.
Uh-oh. Oh my.
Another one. So do you guys find it, I mean, I've listened to the podcast where you guys talked about how you got started. And do you find it easier for you guys because you are two hot wives? Because if we started a podcast, it would be 4 guys that have average personalities or 3 5s and an 8, that type of thing. So do you find it easier to be in the lifestyle because you're two hot wives?
I don't know what it would be like not to be us.
Right.
So I don't know if it's easier or harder, but
let's level set on the term, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So hot wife is another one of those terms that can mean a lot of different things. For us, it means 2 women in open marriages, but most of our activities are with our husbands. A lot of, there's a whole kink around hot wifing though. And that is the idea of a woman in a committed relationship who goes and has a sexual experience with another guy and then comes home to her husband and they might have great like reconnection sex. But there's a lot of, there's a lot of kink around a wife going and having sex with a single guy.
In those cases, the husband is totally into it. Like he loves that his wife goes out with men and comes home to him. And a lot of times the man will set up the dates and everything. So he becomes kind of a part of it.
Yeah, it's as much his kink as it is her kink. Right. But it's not in the hot wifing kink, you don't have to be like super smoking hot. Like I think it helps to be confident, but it's, there are people of all shapes and sizes and ages in the lifestyle who are part of the swinger community. So you don't have to be, 3 8s and a 10 or whatever to get laid. I do think it's like dating again. Are you guys married? Are you married? Do you have kids? Are you out dating? Like what's your deal, dudes?
No one here dates.
No one dates
because you're all married.
Significant other. Yeah,
awesome.
So, Johnny, are you thinking about opening it up? And
so my question
questions getting meaty.
Shit's getting real.
These questions are really important. I get it now. Okay, go for it.
So, I mean, it's one of those things that it's always been an intriguing subject, but then, you worry about hurting the other person's feelings, that you don't want them to think that they're insecure. Oh, I'm not happy with them or whatever. I mean, I I don't know even the first step to convince.
Convince is the wrong word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you no, seriously, I mean, this is part of it, right? If you have to convince her, then that's not good. You can introduce it, talk to her about it, show her some different things that she could or could not be interested in, and engage her level of interest. Mr. Kat, if you listen to our first couple of episodes, is all about how we got started. Right. Mr. Kat started sending me erotica. I mean, we already had a great relationship, great sexual relationship. And so when he would have to be gone on business, he would send me these really hot stories. And they just got a little more towards, open marriage kind of relationships. And I showed an interest. So I don't know that he was trying to convince me, or maybe I don't know if he even had a plan at the time or if he was even thinking about it, but it was something that he was interested in and he thought was really sexy. And so he just started sending it to me, and it opened up the conversation.
The key is enthusiastic consent, right? Like the difference between ethical non-monogamy and non-monogamy is that everybody knows what's going on and everybody's enthusiastically consenting to it. So if this is something that you're interested in exploring with your partner, then you start from the place of fantasy. Everybody's allowed to have their thoughts. Everybody's allowed to have their feelings. If this is a fantasy that you have, talk to your partner about your fantasy. Like I'm shocked at how few people tell their partners like what turns them on. It's such a hard conversation. And if it turns you on, the idea of bringing a third into the bedroom or having sex with someone else, you can don't have it while you're having sex. That's like the key.
Never have the conversation at that time.
Be balls deep in your wife and say, I really wish I was fucking someone else. That's not going to work.
No.
Right, you have to have,
write that down. This is important.
This is good information. No, you have to have the conversation like in a safe space, take a walk, be in the car, don't have your kids in the car, like have the conversation outside of the bedroom.
Don't have a particular woman that you're
you're
thinking of. I mean, you don't want to already say, well, and I have this coworker that I'm really thinking about,
Right.
Nothing like that. It has to be sort of innocent in the abstract, hey, wouldn't this be fun? It would be both of us together. We would do this. We use we a lot. What do you think, honey? What do you like?
Not
what
like,
turns you on?
We think it's a good idea if
no,
sex with someone else.
But we could do this or we could do that. You could go just to a sex club and do absolutely nothing but observe. Just hang out, dance, look at the other couples, see what kind of fun everybody's having. You don't have to, jump into the deep end. You can just get your toes a little wet with something super easy like that. You don't have to do anything. Or say, hey, baby, let's check out this sex club.
Or keep it in the realm of fantasy, dirty talk to each other about this space. And the key is to play the long game. If it's something that you're interested in exploring and you don't know where her head is at, you ask the question and then you shut the fuck up and listen to what she says. Do you like?
I mean, it makes sense. I guess, do we start small? Like, how do I convince her to make me a sandwich? Like, do we start like?
I mean, my thing is, if you can't get that done, Johnny, just don't bother.
Well, in other words, you ladies have the perfect phrase. Use your motherfucking words.
Use your motherfucking words.
Use your motherfucking words.
Well, and you could just start with like, baby, what turns you on? What can I do to turn you on? Yes. I love your body. I love you. And I just want to make you happy. And just by being more sexual and being more connected, like if she feels like the two of you are super connected, she's not going to be threatened by anything. You can bring up different conversation topics and you can have a really close, meaningful conversation about these things without her feeling threatened because you're there.
Yeah. Another great little tip, Johnny, is say, I heard the best podcast the other day. It's called Two Hot Wives and you should check it out. They're so fucking funny. And I just love to know what you think about that.
All right. Well,
not a bad idea. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Well, and we have some episodes that have nothing to do with lifestyle. I mean, we always have a hot tale in the beginning. We always tell some salacious story of something one of us has done. But the main meat of the podcast is usually about a topic. So we've talked about masturbation. We've talked about
Anal.
butt stuff.
Butt stuff.
I mean, we've talked about things that have nothing to do, role play, nothing to do with lifestyle. You could start with stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go all the way.
Okay.
Erotic massage.
I could imagine.
Yes.
I could
That's my
imagine
favorite
Johnny showing his wife just a bunch of different dick pics and looking at her expression, going, "Okay, that's the one she wants. You're open to this," and then go from
I'm like, hey, don't laugh at that one. That's mine.
there. I told you. I think Johnny will try anything. Like he'll put 2 slices of bread and cheese and just watch and observe. Like, okay, this is step 1. If she makes that sandwich, we're gonna bring a third person in.
Yeah, I feel like I might get overly excited. Like if I convince her to like listen to a podcast and then I'll just show up with 4 hookers or something like that.
No.
Okay. So don't 3?
No. No.
Baby steps.
Baby
Okay.
steps. That's
Yeah,
right.
Get a midget.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, babe, we're gonna keep this short.
You know.
You won't even notice they're here. How about
Tiny
you?
cars in the driveway. Oh, these guys just
Do
came out of
you
it.
have any questions, Hugh?
No, I just think it's interesting because we know good friends of ours, good friend of my wife's actually, where they started that way or quickly went down a swinging path and then it changed. One changed and they didn't continue to communicate. So soon it became is she out seeing somebody? And then when she maybe stopped, then is he out seeing somebody? It didn't go real well toward the end, but it came around. It's just interesting though that the key is nothing more than communication. It's communication.
It's all communication.
Everything.
It's
about
everything.
anything. And then I think the other interesting thing is I used to work in Los Angeles and I had a sound guy who was with a girl, he was in a relationship with this girl and they definitely were swingers. He would tell me all the time, we can go to clubs. She could go to a club by herself. I can never go to a club by myself.
Yeah, right.
It's very interesting.
It's kind of a rule.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the clubs do not allow single guys to come in except on certain nights. They'll have like a single guy night. And the reason they do that is because every single guy in town would come.
Right.
He's not part of an open relationship. He's not part of an ethical non-monogamy situation. And the club would be full of men.
Yeah.
You'd have a
Well, I mean,
dance-
there'd be some
you'd have-
women
you'd-
too, but yeah.
You'd have a dance club, basically.
Yeah.
5 women and 700 guys.
Right.
That's right.
I mean,
It's a safety thing too, I think.
It's a misconception of swingers, right? Everybody thinks swingers just randomly, all these singles show up and like, let's just get down, right? It's a misconception.
That's right. We're very picky.
We're crazy.
Yeah, and that's also doesn't ask like, not necessarily your approach, but if you have to give somebody a definition or even recommendation how to start in that type of lifestyle, but the do's and don'ts and so forth, what would you tell them?
So we're beyond already having the conversation and a couple has decided that they want to explore this world together, right? That's what you're asking.
Yeah, more or less. And how would they go about it? And like I said, the do's and don'ts and the misconceptions that people think of this type of lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you can get, we are on Nerds Talking, so I'm going to start super nerdy for a minute. Mr.
That's Ams, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't forget, you should, that's Ams.
Ams is talking right now.
Hardcore nerd. And
Wait, do you have your iPad with you?
I don't.
What's your iPad?
No, because I'm not taking notes right now.
All right.
But, Mr. Ams and I started with tenets and rules and boundaries. So like tenets are the things that nobody gets to break if it is a huge violation of the marriage. And it's 2 tenets. It's transparency and it's consent. So anything that happens, if Mr. Ams wants to look at my phone and see like who's texted me and sends me little flirty messages and stuff, he can look at it. We tell each other everything. There is no secrets when it comes to this stuff. And then consent. Either one of us can say no at any time to any activity.
Situation.
Yeah.
Right.
And then rules are sort of what are we okay with as a couple generally? So for a long time, here's another buzzword for you, Johnny. We were a soft swap couple, which means that we only played with another couple up to the point of penetrative sex. So we weren't having like penis and vagina or penis and anus sex. It's everything else. And we did that for 9 months before we kind of crossed that line into being a full swap couple. So those were, some couples have rules like we want to be in the same room with each other, or we only do this on vacation, or whatever it is. Those are your rules. And then boundaries are the things that happen on a given night. Tonight, I really don't want you to leave my side. Or tonight, we're free agents and we can just do whatever we want for this night. And then we'll come back and talk about it and see how it went. So we have these 3 different layers of rules and so much fucking communication, like way more talking than sex. At every stage of it. We've been doing this for a while, so we have a lot less in the way of rules and boundaries and, just talking and more fucking, which is a lot more fun. But I think the more deliberate that you can be, the more that you can make sure that you're on the same page about what you want to explore, the more likely that you'll come out of a not so great situation, which is almost guaranteed at some point. At some point, you're going to have lousy sex with someone you don't know very well. And that sucks. It doesn't feel great. And so you want to go back to your partner and say, wow, that sucked. I never want to do that again. And know that they're in your corner and they're okay with it. So you need that strong foundation in your marriage. You need to be talking a lot. And once you have that, you can have a lot of fun.
Right. Ethical non-monogamy is not for everyone. If your marriage is in trouble or your marriage, if you don't communicate well, this is not for you.
That's right.
You got to work on that first. With Mr. Kat and I, we didn't have a lot of rules. We really didn't know a lot about the lifestyle when we got started. And we just decided that we were going to be 2 yeses or 1 no, and that's it. So either both of us were on board with something, or if one person wasn't wanting to do something, then that was a no. We weren't going to do it. But as we went on, we started to learn, maybe this should be a rule.
Right.
And then as we've gotten more and more years under our belt, we've lost a lot of the rules because we trust each other, we know each other, we talk about things before and after, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. And Hugh, go for it.
Well, no, I was going to say, and I think that was absolutely one of the problems with the couple we knew, is that one of them changed, and that's fine. If you communicate and tell the other person, I'm not into this anymore.
Right.
If you don't, then it becomes someone sneaking around behind somebody else's back.
Right.
And so again, it comes back to communication. The other thing is, I think this, especially in this country, we're so hung up on sex. It's unbelievable. I mean, I've been to beaches. We talked about this before, but naked beaches here and in another place, Greece. Greece families, nobody hung up at all that I could see. Here, people staring down from cliffs with binoculars. I mean, it's unbelievable how hung up we are. And you can just see it in the laws that they attempt to pass and all this stupidness. I mean, our daughters still to this day, one is 17, one is 12, walk around the apartment naked because nobody is hung up about anything. Nobody's weird about it. Nobody's anything about it. And it just blows me away. Right.
For a country who really values freedom. Sexual freedom is really not acceptable.
Ridiculous hypocrisy.
Yeah.
You're free to do everything except when we want to govern what you're doing in your bedroom, whether it's two guys, two women, it's the least thing I care about. It's not even on a list. It's not, and that's just, I think about it all the time. My wife is from Brazil, different environment entirely. Mm-hmm. I think about it all the time. We should just not particularly hung up here. We could go somewhere else. But I mean, every place has its own things, and that's another thing you learn when you travel. But just the hung upness on sex here is unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why we do the podcast is we really do think this is what that good sex should be a part of every healthy adult's life. And we shouldn't stigmatize it. We should all just be seeking out pleasure, whatever form that is. And if you've got consenting adults involved, why the fuck not?
Right.
And so we're just trying to like move the conversation a little bit more in the direction of being open and honest about our sexuality.
Let me think. Would I rather be lying in bed with somebody or out shooting at somebody?
Right.
Let me think about that.
It's not a hard decision.
Yeah.
I can't really decide. I mean,
Sex is amazingly good
Fun.
for you. It helps you sleep. It helps with depression. It doesn't make you fat. It helps build foster connections.
That's right.
Between like your primary partner. And if you choose to have sex with more than your primary partner, it helps to foster connections within that community.
cares? Enjoy. I mean,
Yes.
And everybody has their own way of doing it. You know, like for Ams and I, we like to make connections with people. So getting to know people, having a community, hanging out together in even vanilla ways, having a barbecue, going to a concert. We do all that normal, regular stuff.
Yeah.
Probably the amount of sex we have is maybe 30% of the time.
It depends on the couple. But
yeah. But, you know, for some couples, they just want to like go to a club, have sex with an anonymous couple, come home. They don't want to make connections. And that's all good too.
That's fine.
It's all good.
Yeah, for me, passion has always been everything. If it's not there, I don't care who you are, your parents. If there's no passion, I can't be there.
Yeah.
That's everything.
All right. So I have more questions. Oh, I'm sorry.
Johnny, I like it. I like it.
Go.
So real quick, you probably discussed it on some of your podcasts, but as far as your demographics, because both of you guys are married, do both of you have kids?
Yes.
We do.
And how old are your kids, roughly?
Teenagers.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you think you could have done this lifestyle when they were younger, like say 2s to 4s? I'm being specific because I have a 2-year-old.
Yeah,
we have friends
for a 22-month-old. No, so looking back, do you think it would have been possible as far as the lifestyle and setting up dates and whatnot? Do you think it would have been possible back then?
So now we have sort of a big community, and we have a couple of couples that we know that have young children, and they figure it out. Yeah. You know, you can set up a babysitter. You're not going to be out overnight. We're almost always home by midnight.
You know, we did it right.
Yeah, that's right. We high five if we are like leaving at 11. It's a good thing. But, you know, you go out if you go to a movie and dinner and, you know, hang out anywhere, you're going to be gone for 5 hours. So there you go. Same thing. I mean, it might be a challenge to get babysitters, but you can also figure things out where you have maybe another couple that you trade babysitting with or whatever. We have definitely friends who do it, who make it work.
Yeah, the answer is yes. You absolutely can do it with young children. We have friends who've been pregnant and still, you know, involved in the lifestyle. I would say when I had very young children, I felt so touched out by the end of the day because they're hanging on you and clinging to you and they love you so much. And like the last thing I wanted to do was have sex, even with Mr. Ams, right? You go through that period of time where just being a parent, and if you have a job, right, managing your job, managing your household, that's all you can tackle. And I think parents of young children, God love you, you got a lot of shit to deal with, and it's more expensive. So if it's something you want to explore when your kids are little, treat your wife like a fucking goddess because she is working so hard and she needs to switch gears of like being a mom to being a fully realized sexual human being. So do the fucking dishes and like
do the laundry and take all that stuff off her plate.
Let her take a bath, whatever she needs to switch from that I'm a mom to I'm like a
sexual
sexy sex goddess. And so if that's something you want to explore when your kids are little, do everything you can to kind of turn off her sexual brakes and turn on her sexual accelerators.
There you go. And Johnny, make your own sandwiches.
And make your own fucking sandwiches.
Right.
Yes.
And you know what? Make her one too.
Whoa,
Make her a sandwich.
First of all,
She'd probably lose it. Like, what is this? What did you make? Oh my God, it's a sandwich. He made me a sandwich. I love him forever.
That's right.
It's the little things. It's the little things that we love.
What kind of home do you think Johnny lives in?
Johnny will make the second sandwich and go, I'm having 2 sandwiches.
Don't forget he was making it for her in the first place.
All right, we'll take a break here on Nerds Talking the Podcast. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to Two Hot Wives, a podcast for sexually open-minded women. I'm Ams.
And I'm Kat, and we're here to share with you our adventures in the wonderful world of unconventional sex.
First, a little bit about us. We are both deeply committed wives and mothers. We're also homeowners, business owners,
SUV owners.
Oh, I don't know, pet owners, your typical suburbanite MILFs.
A couple of years ago, we each started to explore with our husbands how to have more fun.
Both in and out of the bedroom.
And concerts, travel, entertaining friends are all great, but at the end of the day, we really just wanted to have more adventurous sex. We had no clue how many options were out there.
Oh, no clue. From lifestyle dating to kink, hall passes,
unicorns,
resorts, sex clubs, the list is practically unlimited. As we started to explore these different options, we discovered that there is a huge community of sexy, like-minded people out there. So, here is the plan for the podcast. Each episode, we'll choose a sexy experience. Live it, breathe it, love it,
or not,
fuck it,
or not,
and tell you how it goes.
We invite you to open up your mind to the world of new possibilities.
Question norms and rules that feel mandatory. Embrace your kink.
And have some motherfucking fun.
Welcome back to Nerds Talking the Podcast. I'm here with Ams and Kat from Two Hot Wives. Also, Johnny, Carlos, Hugh, and I'm Lafayette. And what you just heard was a commercial for Two Hot Wives. So check that podcast out. You can get it on Spotify, Amazon. Where else you get podcasts from? iTunes.
Everywhere.
Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. Go to twohotwives.com and get more, not just the podcast. There's even more.
Yeah. Yes. We have lots of articles and
I've been on there.
Full resources.
It's a full, everything you want to know about these topics and more. And I was going to ask because Johnny seems to be the topic here. So that brings me to a question of, have you guys had anybody that say wanted like off-air personal counseling via Zoom or anything of that nature, or is that something you might even offer?
We get a lot of questions.
Yeah,
and a lot of the questions are similar.
Yeah,
they're wanting to know how to convince their wife to get into the lifestyle, and we give them that same advice that we gave here: is that if you have to convince her, it's not going to work. But I think we get a lot of questions like, how do we get started? Or what if my wife isn't into this? Or even what if my husband isn't into it?
Yeah.
And we try to give good advice that is not,
But we're not professionals.
Mm-hmm.
We have careers outside of being podcasters, but it's not in the field of sexuality, or we're not doctors. Yeah. We are enthusiastic amateurs. And when we explore these topics, we have no clue whether or not the results of our sexy homework are going to be positive or negative. We aim to set up an experience that's like, if I'm going to explore anal, how can I do this in a way that is going to be sexy, the most pleasurable experience for me? And sometimes it works great and sometimes it doesn't. So, we're not necessarily a great source for advice, but
except that we have built up a little experience.
We have a lot of experience
building up our experience in different experiences that we've had.
Right.
So, we're not experts, definitely, but we do have a little,
we have
insight.
Lots of sex.
We have a lot of sex. We have insight maybe too.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. You're not, you give advice based on your experiences.
Yeah.
It's not like you're saying, oh, this is the only way to do it. It's just like, this is how we go about it. And this is our experience. And then also I was going to ask, I guess when you started, was jealousy ever a part of it? And how did you deal with it? Or how do you give people advice on that?
Jealousy.
That's a good question.
Yeah. It's probably the most common question we get after, how do I convince my wife to have a threesome with another chick? I think that it is normal to feel lots of feelings when you see your partner have sex with someone for the first time. And there might be conflicting feelings. Like you might be really turned on and also really jealous at the same time. And I think observing your feelings, not to get like super meta, but like observing your feelings, go, oh, this makes me feel possessive or jealous or whatever. What am I going to do with that? Maybe you go home and have really phenomenal reconnection sex with each other. Or maybe you realize you're not quite ready to experience seeing your partner with someone else, or it doesn't turn you on, and you have a conversation about what you would be okay with or what you're not okay with. Being open and honest with yourself and with your partner and having those conversations, you'll figure out a way to get through it. And like Kat said, it's not for everybody. If you feel insecure about the attachment that you have with your partner, then you should not be exploring an open marriage. You need to feel really securely attached to each other. And whether or not you feel jealousy, sometimes that's because you don't feel that secure attachment. So yeah, start there. Start with your marriage always.
Or it's going to become much more open than you may want it to.
That's right. That's right. It's going to be you, your spouse, and your divorce attorneys.
And the unicorn and the manticorn.
Well, or that.
That's right. No one will be making you a sandwich in that.
No.
That's right.
You're going to have to make your own sandwiches forever.
Exactly.
Yes.
Carlos, do you have any questions? He's been the quiet one.
So quiet.
Well, I'm just, I'm curious. You guys should make a book. Cocktails.
Yeah.
That thing would fly off the shelf. I mean,
did you say cocktails and cocktails?
Cocktails.
No,
and
it's
cocktails.
it's cocktails and hot tails.
Cocktails.
It's actually
Now, Johnny. This conversation.
Only hears the word cock.
I mean, those are some great stories.
Thank you.
I mean, I can just imagine somebody just making a cocktail and sitting down and reading this book. I mean, so go ahead and I'll take 5% royalties.
Because you're gonna produce it and everything.
That's right.
I can do that. I have a graphic arts background. Absolutely.
Oh.
And really cool mic, by the way.
That's right.
Oh, thank
Totally dig your mic. It's so big.
Oh, you see that, Johnny?
Ams.
Take notes.
Ams is so naughty sometimes.
I'm on Amazon right now trying to.
Anyway, I need that mic. I need compliments about my size.
I need people to stop talking about sandwiches.
You started it.
Now
Going back to, sorry, Carlos.
I was going to say that the term, you guys use the term vanilla a lot. So that just means, I guess,
Blaine?
Non-lifestyle.
Right. Non-lifestyle. Okay. Now, I saw, we got a peek of Mr. Ams.
Yeah.
Good looking fella. So when I was listening to the hot tale and then the story of Matt at the bar,
Yes.
when I heard this guy was a chiseled fella, I'm like,
Yeah.
That's when they asked about the jealousy. I'm like, man, Mr. Ams is a good looking guy. But Matt, can you go a little deeper into the Matt story?
That's kind of a fantasy.
Yeah.
You know?
He's so Matt, God love him. He is like a dead ringer for John Cena. He is a handsome dude.
He's a beanstalk.
And
like you can climb.
But because he's got the abs that you can like grab onto. I like to lick them. No, he's an awesome dude, and he has an awesome
amazing.
wife. So when I had that experience with Matt, I had met his wife Scarlett first. Actually, they were friends of Kat and Mr. Kat.
Yep.
And we met each other when we were first starting out in the podcast, and she showed me a picture of Matt. And she's like, I'm just so spoiled for any other experience because this is my husband. I'm like, damn, girl. So I was in my office one day and Mr. Ams came in and I got a look on my face and he's like, what were you thinking about just right then? And I said, I was thinking about that old like cliched role play where you go to a hotel bar and you meet some person who's traveling on business and you just go up to their room and like fuck each other's brains out. And he's like, we can make that happen. And so we started to think about who could fill that role, because if you've ever tried it with a partner, has anybody tried to do the like pick up at a hotel bar with their spouse?
No.
Raise of hands. No, guys, you're so vanilla.
Come on.
In any event, it's a very hard role play to pull off because you know each other so well. So like, Eric.
I feel like if I tried to pick up my wife, she wouldn't go home with me. Like,
the pity points are.
It's like, it's, you know why? Because his wife would have a do-over, and she's like, "Oh, finally."
Oh, good. I'm gonna take that guy over there.
The first choice was horrible.
In any event, hard to pull off with your own partner. And we even talked about, well, maybe Mr. Kat could do it, but I knew him so well at that point. It just didn't feel like I needed a stranger, but I didn't actually want a stranger because yuck.
Right.
So having somebody who was vetted by a woman that I knew and I trusted.
And me.
And yes, 2 women that I knew and I trusted. So I reached out to her first and sent her a Kick, actually, because that's, where a lot of swingers connect is on Kick. And said, hey, is this something that you would be okay with? And she walked down the stairs to where Matt was and she's like, you've got mail. So she immediately was on board with kind of making this happen. And he showed up at, we arranged for a time to show up at the hotel bar. He walked over to my table and he's like, excuse me, I'm trying to avoid a coworker who wants to have this long conversation about widgets or whatever the fuck he said, and I'm trying to avoid him. So can I buy you a drink and sit with you? Because I told him I was meeting someone else. And I'm like, sure. And we're having this long conversation. And about halfway through, I'm like, all right, can we cut the act? Because this is totally happening. So then we text each other's partners. I'm texting Mr. Ams and he's texting his wife to make sure everything's okay. And then go upstairs and have absolutely amazing sex. And he had set up the room. Take notes, gentlemen. He had champagne on ice in the sink of the bathroom, and he had strawberries all cut up, and he had gummy bears. I don't know why that combination, but it really did it for me. And for the record, Matt doesn't drink, and he certainly doesn't eat gummy bears.
No,
and
he does
I'm
not
not
eat
sure
gummy
strawberries
bears.
would meet his macro requirements.
Yeah.
So this was all for me, but I felt so spoiled by the experience. It was absolutely amazing. And then I came home and told Mr. Ams all about it, and we had amazing sex. So it's just fun. It's just fun to play around with it.
We've really gotten to a point where we make fantasies happen.
Yes.
For us, at least. And we tell people about it so that they can make it happen too.
Yeah.
Like the round robin threesomes that we had, where we took turns having threesomes between the 4 of us. So one person would bow out and there would be a threesome with the other 3. Mm-hmm. And we did that all the way around. And now we're going on a second round.
Or third.
And then we did the birthday thing where we gave Mr. Kat a sensual massage for his birthday. And we had already gotten that for our birthdays. So super hot.
Yeah.
That one included the unicorn, correct?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. He loved it.
Yeah. I mean, so much that he was
I know.
shaking.
Yes, he was.
I'm curious when you vet, because that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes vetting also means the physical part of it and making sure that everybody is good, especially if you're not using something.
Yeah.
So do you, not to be particular, but do you always use something, or do you vet?
Always.
So you're talking about protection and STIs.
Always.
Yeah. So we test for STIs on a regular basis. So Mr. Ams and I alternate every 6 months.
Right.
And we always use protection. I would say within the swinger community that we've seen, most do. I've only encountered one couple that I saw on vacation that was not using protection. Everybody else
It's
has.
interesting too, because when we've heard single girls talk about having a guy wear a condom or asking a guy to wear a condom, half the time they get an attitude about it. Like the guy doesn't want to wear one. I have never, ever encountered that in the lifestyle. The guys bring them. They know it's a part of the deal. There's no questions. I don't even have to ask them to put one on because they already have it.
And I bring them
Right?
too, just in case.
But you also think those single guys that don't, because again, their interpretation of this lifestyle is just, I'm just here to bang. You know what I mean? I don't have to bring, I'm not bringing that. You know what you're in for. You know what I mean? It's just that they probably have that idea, this is what it is.
Well, some guys don't like it anyway. They just don't like it. I mean,
right.
Well, in fairness, I think it is a lot more sort of restrictive for guys than it is for women. It doesn't make you add a little lube, it doesn't make a huge difference for us. That being said, I don't know if you've heard some of our episodes where we talk about single guys, but it's actually challenging to meet up with a single guy who doesn't know all of the sort of rules and norms of the lifestyle community, because there are a lot, when you don't rely on cultural norms to establish what is and isn't okay, you can't make any assumptions, and you have to understand what the rules are for that subculture. And a lot of single dudes don't. They're there to bang. They're just super thirsty guys. So if you're out there, dudes, listen up. There's a lot of rules. Protection is one of them. And you have to approach every situation just being so fucking grateful that you get to be there, that you'll get invited back.
To that point, that's exactly what I've told my girls. You control this room.
We control.
Yes.
You control. You control. It's not going to mean much difference for you. Maybe it's a little bit of an inconvenience for him to stop down. Hang on.
Yeah.
But you control the room. If he wants to be there, that's part of it. It's not the other way around. It's not the other way around where he's dictating to you, because he's potentially exposing you. So
right. And I have an older son. I have a teenage son, and I talk to him about all of this stuff. I talk to him about not slut shaming his girlfriends or his friends who are girls. I talk about him, shutting that down when he hears his friends, if he hears any of his guy friends talking like that, because, letting that just fester, it's a disrespect. It's disrespectful. And I've talked to him. I mean, I think, we don't tell our kids what we do. It's none of their business what our sex life is. We're raising our kids to be more sex positive and to be more open and to be in control of their own lives. With my daughter, I don't tell her she has to wait for marriage. I say, when you're mature enough to make a decision based on what you want and not feeling pressured by a boy, or not feeling like you have to do this because everybody else is, then you're ready. But until that happens,
you're not ready.
You be in control of you.
Yeah.
You'd be sticking your head in the sand, acting like it's not going to happen because I said it's not going to happen. You might as well just put your head right in the sand and just stay upside down, because it is. I'd much rather she talks to us about everything, every single little part of her body, every single thing. Ask me about me. I tell her, this is what this is. No, it's not weird to walk with.
Yes, there's gray hair.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. I've lost connection with you.
Because you've made it okay for her to talk about all those things.
Yeah.
I have.
And so that's how she's grown up, and she'll always be able to do that.
Yeah.
She'll probably have a better relationship with her future partner.
Yes.
Good job, Dad.
That's right. That's right.
She's in a theater program. I mean, an arts program, and her friends, some of them have some parents who are just totally unaccepting of anything. And so they are lashing out every which way they can. Maybe that is their true life, or maybe it's not, but because they have no support system from the people they need it most from. Our girls know that we love and support. That's it.
We think about all of the bullshit that we grew up with, right? And how hard it was to overcome all that, and to enjoy sex for ourselves, not just because a man wants it, but for us. Right. How liberating that is. We don't want our daughters to have to deal with all of that. It was hard.
What a shock. My gosh. You mean you get to enjoy it too? What a shock.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. All right. We'll take one more break here on Nurse Talking, a podcast. We'll be right back after this.
On episode 5 of Licking Non-Vanilla with special guest, Miss Ava.
Have you ever worn panties, Ralph?
Hello?
Ralph, our next topic is...
I just love how it got real silent there, Chris.
I was just curious if you knew what it felt like.
Chris,
I can't believe I made Ralph Greco speechless.
Well,
this is a red letter day.
I can feel the blush halfway across the country.
Where's your blood going? That's a clue.
Licking Non-Vanilla, a sex-positive hour of talk about kink, sexual mores, and writing dirty words. With your hosts, Ralph Greco Jr. and M. Christian.
Welcome back to Nerds Talking, the podcast. I'm here with Carlos, Johnny, Hugh. I'm Lafayette, and we're with the ladies from Two Hot Wives, Ams and Kat. They haven't left because we have much more to discuss. And Carlos, actually, during the break, had a question. So, Carlos, take it away.
I was listening to the Swingers Cruise episode. You had mentioned how nobody was having sex around the pool. Almost sounded like you were disappointed. Like, I don't know. I've never been on a swingers cruise, so I'm just curious. Yeah. Is that how things happen?
I wasn't disappointed.
No,
I mean, all of these vacations that we go on, there's a lot of rules.
Yeah,
and there are rules about public spaces. You can't walk around naked in the dining room. You can't have sex around the pool except around the hot tub. There are certain areas where you can have outside sex, and there's certain areas where you can kiss and hug, and you can do a little bit of that, but you're not allowed to really have penetrative, full sex. And that's just kind of nice because we don't really want it everywhere we go.
You need a little break.
Yeah. We like to just talk to people.
Want to enjoy our Moscow Mule by the pool
right.
and not watch somebody like giving a blowjob. You know, everybody's different. Some people really enjoy exhibitionism or voyeurism, and there are places you can go, sex clubs and different resorts where public sex is totally acceptable. And if that's your thing, it is easy to find. I personally enjoy hanging out with people, being dressed sexy or maybe naked and talking and flirting and kissing a little bit, but I don't really enjoy watching people have sex by the pool. There, it's kind of raunchy. I'm not a big fan of it.
For God's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I like, there's not enough chlorine in the world.
And there are so many places you can have sex.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And it's not comfortable. You have to bring silicone lube with you. It's a lot of work. I don't like
You're
it.
looking, you don't want to look, but you have to look.
Off to the side, just wait until you're finished. Like, hurry up, I want to swim, for God's sake.
Exactly.
Get off my towel. Get off my towel.
That's what's funny. It's funny.
Exactly.
People think water is such a great. It's not.
It's not. No,
it's not. It's miserable.
Yeah.
Unless you bring something, and then.
Then it's better. But it's like sex on the beach. Sex on the beach isn't that much fun.
Oh, no.
You get sand in your coochie. It's not fun. No. Sex in a bed. I would like sex in a king size bed with like fluffy sheets and blankets. That's how I like to have sex.
Yes, but
a swing.
Or a swing. We see you have a swing in the studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whips and much more. It's like a dungeon.
This is our dungeon.
Exactly. It's a pleasure dungeon.
This is where we record every episode here in our dungeon.
It's because you got to be fully immersed.
Yeah, and it's soundproof.
It is the most soundproof room in the house.
Well, yeah.
It should be, I mean, you have
has to be.
Yeah, it has to be sound. It's like the Bat Cave.
That's right.
I had a question for you guys.
Yeah,
Johnny, go for it.
So when you guys were talking about condoms, it reminded me of a story, and I don't know how big your community is if you've heard this story already, but I want to say like 5 years ago, maybe more, there was a corrections officer in California. He was shot and paralyzed. He said that he was at a restaurant in Frisco and he saw a parolee that recognized him, got shot, was paralyzed. He was seeking compensation from the state. He was going to get paid a lot of money. There was GoFundMe's for him. Like there was his coworkers like set up golf tournaments to raise money for him, this and that. Turns out he was at a sex club and there was a argument about condom, no condom, something like that. And the lady's partner confronted him outside, shot him. And so it turns out he was a swinger and he was into this like big horror story that he ended up being charged for.
You just started to learn to walk again 4 years ago, right?
What?
That was Johnny who got shot.
Oh my God.
Johnny, if I could only see your search engine right now.
Did you guys hear this story about a really good-looking guy who got like a shot? And it was
Really
bullshit
good-looking
because the
Vietnamese
condom
fella?
broke. It wasn't even my fault. I mean, it wasn't me,
All right.
motherfuckers.
The biggest story I think that we've encountered is when maybe a couple is not getting along so well at a house party and they lose it and they fight with each other and they throw, all their stuff on the lawn and, there's
that
yelling
might
and
have
screaming
happened.
and stuff like that. But that I've never heard of anything
No.
like what you're talking about.
Plus, I've never heard anyone call San Francisco Frisco, but that's a totally different
Wait, really?
topic for yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all it's known as in California.
Frisco.
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 Yeah, wow. That's a more interesting thing Johnny brought up. Is the Frisco thing.
Frisco.
Yeah.
So, do you have any like funny stories then? Like,
Well, yeah, the one I just told.
Right. Yeah. So we do host these epic house parties.
We've got one coming up.
like 50 couple house parties.
Well,
Big,
50
people.
people.
50 people.
25 couples.
Actually, I think it's gonna be 60 couples. So 120 people this upcoming
60?
house party.
60 couples?
60
How big
couples.
is
That's a
the
big
house?
party. It's a big house.
It's a big
Okay.
That
house.
swing doesn't look that big.
Yeah. Well,
The swing is not for everyone.
no, and we don't live in Frisco, so the real estate market not quite so
That
tight.
is true.
That's
There you go. Good
That's
point.
true.
Good point. The next segment will be about real estate. Go for it.
But we had invited a relatively new couple to our first house party. Why did we invite a new couple to a house
Because
party?
they're hot.
Because they were hot. But they were not on the same page. And
They weren't quite ready for the scene.
no. And
She was.
oh, she was all gas and he was all brakes. But it kind of went sideways. We learned later that like she actually went and fucked somebody and told him like, I'm just dancing with him. And then went, it was drama. So he threw all her shit out of the car and drove away and left her at a house party. And so she's picking up her stuff in the dark at like 1:00 in the morning in my neighborhood and missed her butt
Butt
plug.
plug. But your neighbor brought it to you.
Well, yeah, so
Did you lose this, Ams, on your front lawn?
we'd like to play close
What
to
is
home.
this? What
Yeah.
is this?
Yeah.
Like a really heavy
And
like a
so
necklace. No.
we met a new couple who happened to live walking distance from our house. And we're like, oh, we're in the same neighborhood. Let's say hi and meet each other. And so we're walking around the neighborhood and we're like, yeah, that's our house. And they're like, oh my gosh, 2 weeks ago, we were walking by that house and there was like a cute little jewelry bag. And we looked inside the bag and there was a butt plug. And I was like, oh,
Could have been worse, right? Like your neighbor is like, hey, I just want to let you know I ran this over and you guys owe me a new lawnmower.
well, there you
Well,
go.
what about the time when they brought you a pie and said, you need blinds?
Blinds.
Here, have this pie. And by the way, you need blinds.
You need blinds. You need curtains. That is true. Nicest neighbors ever.
It was a new house at the time. I don't think you guys had all your
No.
window coverings up. But she did bring you a pie.
She
which I
did.
thought was very
It
nice.
was very sweet. Here's a pie. You might want to invest in blinds.
blinds.
Or
I would bring 2 pies and tell them to put the blinds up.
That's right.
I'm curious if you ever invited a guy who then turned out to be more interested in your guy, as opposed to that you may have thought, oh yeah, okay, good, this is going to work. And prior vetting said, good guy, but maybe forgot a little bit of a detail or maybe didn't see it coming.
That's never happened to us.
No, although that is, I would say, kind of a one of the cliches or stereotypes about inviting a third guy is that the bull or the single guy is looking to explore his bisexuality.
Right.
I would say bisexuality for women in the lifestyle is very accepted. It's almost
encouraged.
It's almost assumed, which is not always the case.
Right.
Bisexuality for men it's hard to navigate and it's really unfair in my opinion. It's there's a lot of stigma around it still.
It's the hypocrisy of that, the industry,
Right.
the porn industry. It's the same hypocrisy. 2 girls,
Yeah.
that's cool. 2
Yeah,
guys,
right.
Oh my God. It's like,
I mean, come on,
What's the
think
difference?
about it.
I've heard it
Mr.
called the
Ames-
devil's threesome.
Mr.
Is it the
Ames, Miss is probably thinking, 2 girls, that's hot. He's not thinking,
Mhm.
oh, you invited him over? Oh, wait a second. No.
But
I
you know
think
what?
the guys love that. They love seeing us enjoy
well, no,
being with them and another guy.
I did, that.
Yeah.
I'm talking. Like
That's
the
awesome.
guy- I'm
It's
talking about
like
the
our
guy-
favorite thing.
I'm talking about the guy is turned on to Mr. Ames instead. That's what I'm trying.
Yeah.
to figure. I mean,
You know, I both of our guys are straight, but I have to say, I really am proud of how totally cool they are. If there's incidental touching, like there's certain positions that the odds are the streams are going to cross at some point. And the guys are very chill about it.
If they don't touch swords, they don't freak out.
Even if they touch swords, it's like very it's
not a big deal. It's
it.
incidental. It's not done on purpose. They know
Right.
it. It's
They
just
probably
when
have
you're all around each other that close, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Do you know what the number one at the Vegas convention, number one attraction, or at least it was a couple years ago for straight guys? Transgenders.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah,
Number one. Not even close.
Because so much less drama than a cis woman. Like they're super chill about everything. They don't, have like the weird hormonal fluctuations. They're
right.
They're cool, man. And they have great fashion sense.
But what's funny is these guys would probably never admit it, though. If you ever asked them, they would never in 100 years admit it.
Yeah.
But there they are. Can I get your autograph? Can I have a picture?
Yeah.
It's on the down low.
It's at the DL.
That's what they call it, right? The down low.
The DL.
So I had a random question.
DL and
two
Frisco.
movies that had great. I have them. I have two movies I liked. Had really either great or funny swinging scenes in them.
Oh,
yes.
I have two that I really liked the Tom Cruise and his wife at the time.
Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's a sexy movie.
And then I was greatly amused by the Sacha Baron Cohen movie where he's playing gay and he's like looking at a swinging. Remember the little swinging party?
Uh-huh.
And he's
Yeah.
staring like, you are really going good.
What is that movie with Justin Bateman with the road trip or something where they're in an RV smuggling drugs from Mexico?
Meet the Millers?
Yes, We're the Millers.
We're
Or
the Millers.
Meet the Millers or something like that. That's hilarious. It has a scene with the guy from Park and Rec. What is his name?
Nick Offerman.
Yes, Offerman. Yes. And
Great scene.
oh my God, they go into each other's tents at one point and they're like, I don't know if we're ready for this. Oh, it's hilarious. Everybody should watch that scene. I'm not going to do it justice.
And just recently, I was watching You. Do you know the show You?
The Netflix show, yes.
Have you watched the third season?
No, I've only seen season 1.
It's hilarious. There is, I feel bad if I'm spoiling anything, but it's been out for a long time now. So somewhere in the middle of all of the episodes, there is a couple that approaches them about being in the lifestyle and hot wife and the whole thing. It is hilarious. It's so funny.
The episode is actually called A Swing and a Miss. Because you told me about it, and I was like, I gotta check
I made
out.
her watch it because I couldn't stand it. I thought she was going to watch the whole thing, but I couldn't wait until she watched the whole thing. Okay, just watch these episodes.
Watch that one.
But the stereotypical craziness that goes on, we had to laugh. It was
so
hilarious,
and it was weirdly true in certain things. They brought out a contract at one point. I'm like, yeah, we probably would have brought out a contract.
You totally would have. Like a non-disclosure thing, and it was super good. And then the guy brings out his big suitcase full of drugs, pharmaceuticals, like all the things you might need. It was great.
It was funny.
And let's take this to another topic. What outside of the show and the lifestyle, give me some. What do you guys watch on Netflix? What are some you can recommend to people? Because this is nerds talking.
Like having nothing to do with lifestyle, right?
No, it can. Just what is it what you're watching, what you're into from Netflix to Hulu to streaming and so forth. What do you guys like to do on your leisure time?
My leisure.
I'm a big Marvel fan.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I love Marvel movies. And I'll tell you, my son will come to me and go, Mom, there's like 11 new movies coming out this year. You want to watch all the trailers? And I will sit there with him for like a half an hour, 40 minutes, watching all the trailers of all the new movies. And we get really excited. But I have a thing. I love to see those movies in the big theater. I don't like this home theater stuff. I mean, it's okay for rom-coms.
Yeah.
You know, but seeing these big epic movies with all of these special effects and crazy, I like seeing them in the big theater. So my rule is like Marvel movies need to be seen in the theater, which was not fun during the pandemic because we couldn't do that, but I had to make exceptions. But that's my thing.
Yeah.
You're talking to these three guys, especially who know the entire histories of
Marvel universe.
Everybody. So ask.
No, I don't think I've memorized. I haven't memorized everything, but
everything.
You know, I love me some Thor.
You like?
I like.
Is Thor the one you fuck out of all of them?
I'd fuck all of them.
Oh, you know what? How about
Iron Man. Iron Man.
We're gonna go for Marvel for you two. Mary F. Kill.
Oh, okay. Mary fuck kill.
So,
All right.
Who's your Mary?
Mary.
I would go with Iron Man because he's got all the dough.
That's right.
And all the good toys.
Okay. Who would you kill?
Oh,
Loki.
Although I love him.
I know you do.
In real life, he can
do.
dance. That man can get down. If you go on YouTube and you look for celebrities, guys that can dance, they've got like this top 20, top 10. He is number one and he deserves it because he is hot.
Yeah, I'd still kill him.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
I mean, Tom Holland can dance.
Yeah. Well,
I might. Yeah, I probably have to marry Iron Man too because he.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a good life.
Yeah,
a good life.
That's a good life.
And you guys would both kill Loki?
Yeah, I would go with Loki to kill.
Okay, we got one Loki.
I don't know. Yeah.
Who'd you kill?
Yeah, probably have to
Some
kill
of them are
Loki.
annoying.
Because he's kind of a bad guy, sometimes a good guy.
Yeah. I mean, there's all the bad guys you can kill, but that's too easy.
Yeah.
That's too easy.
He's only died. How many times has Loki died?
Yeah.
I think like 3 so far.
3 or 4, 3 times?
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
And so then who's the F?
I already know.
Yeah.
It's Thor.
We fuck all of them.
I don't know. I don't think it would be
Captain America?
Oh,
Yeah.
Chris
Oh
Evans?
God, maybe I'd marry Captain America.
Yeah, that'd be
He's
good
so
too.
clean
He's
cut.
so sexy.
But
No,
what if-
I was thinking
Go for
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Oh,
Star
Chris
Lord.
Pratt.
I think he'd
Chris
be my
Pratt.
F. I think he would. He makes me laugh.
it. But what if
I'd have a threesome with Captain America and
Oh,
and
that
Thor?
does sound good.
that does sound good,
really
right?
good.
But what if I threw in DC? I mean, would Peacemaker make your list?
Oh.
I mean,
Sorry.
Peacemaker's John Cena.
I know. That's why I
That-
brought it up because
He is funny. He's funny. He's very. That show is
He's
very
good looking.
funny.
He's funny.
He is.
He's
yeah.
sexy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's so
Okay.
square.
You talked us into it. We would do him too.
He is very chiseled,
Yeah,
but
so
he's
square.
funny in that show.
Yeah.
the show's
Peacemaker.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, the show is. And then how about the Batman? You guys gonna see the Batman?
I really want to see
I
the
know.
Batman, but mostly because of Zoe Kravitz. She's awesome.
My
That-
kids have both already seen it, and,
It is
we're going to go see it soon. So
Yeah.
but we have to see it in the big theater.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
right now
don't
it's the only
miss
place
that
you
one.
can see it. Is
Right.
the Batman?
We're going this weekend.
But you're right.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're right about one thing. You got to see any superhero movie in the theaters.
In
Yep.
the theater is good.
Big epic movies need to be seen on a big screen.
So
I don't know. Go ahead.
No, go for it. No, go for it.
I was gonna say during COVID, we watched a lot of like outdoor on a projector
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
movies, and that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
Little
else
silver
do you guys do besides the podcast and so forth? What's the fun thing? What does
Fun things
Kat
we
and
do.
Ames get out and do? What's the hobbies? What's
We love
You know.
going to concerts,
Yeah.
live
Skiing.
music.
I mean,
skiing.
it's still
We're big
skiing
skiers.
season, so we're
Yeah.
skiing a lot right now. Travel when that comes back.
Yeah, we love
No.
to travel.
What part of the world, without being specific?
Oh, to
We've done-
travel?
well,
No.
for
I mean-
vacations.
No, where you are.
We're
skiing.
we're on the East Coast, so the skiing kind of sucks. But we have our home mountain that we
Yeah.
love.
and then I guess advice you would give to. I mean, you were giving a lot of advice already. How about older couples? Have you guys been approached by older couples? Like, I
Sure.
mean, significantly older than you, or
Sure.
Life goals.
Yeah.
We have met some amazingly like evolved, hot couples in their 60s, even
70s.
early 70s. This is not a hobby that you age out of necessarily.
Well, and I think a lot of times you start late anyway, because we had kids when we were in our 20s and 30s, and we were busy with family stuff. And this wasn't even on my radar at the time. And so then it's like your kids get older and you're like, well, now what do we do? Let's have some fun. What can we do?
That's pretty good what you just brought up. What is the average age in this lifestyle? Would you say? Like, what's the bracket? Was like 30, 40? Yeah. Like, what do you think? What is it typically?
More like 40 to 50.
I would say a lot of people start as empty nesters or with teenage kids. But that being said, I have met some baby millennials who are ahead of the game in terms of, being really sexually evolved and growing up in the hookup culture that we all missed out of because the fucking AIDS crisis meant that sex was going to kill you. So, they're a lot more comfortable with the idea that a relationship does not have to be monogamous if both couples are okay with that. So there's a lot of young people, they don't necessarily identify as swingers because that feels like a very old school term, but they're E&M or they're open. So at all ages.
I do think this next generation is the lucky ones because I think they are growing up with not the same kind of messages that we got. So for us, we're starting our lifestyle journey in our 40s where we have kids and we have, neighborhoods with, moms groups and soccer and all these things where we can't all of a sudden come out and tell people what we're about because they're going to freak out. But this generation, they're young. They're coming into relationships already having that identity, already deciding who they are. We didn't figure that out until after we were already entrenched.
Never too old, as they say.
No,
that's
definitely
right.
not.
You can't be too old. And as long as you can, and this is what I've told my son, as long as you can have an open and honest conversation about sex with your, potential partner, then you're old enough and mature enough to have sex. But I've met 30-year-olds who can't have an open and honest conversation about sex.
Nope.
So,
yeah.
It's funny you mentioned. No, it's funny you mentioned. I mean, the AIDS crisis was right, like in 1980 when I was starting to evolve along that path, and really bad timing because it scared the shit out of me, and I mean for good reason.
Yeah,
it's funny you had kids in your 20s. I didn't have kids till I was 47.
Wow. But that you're a super evolved dad, which is awesome.
It's the best thing ever, and having daughters was even better.
Yeah,
even
that's
the better.
So cool.
Yeah,
good for them. That's awesome.
Johnny's been actually writing me on the side like, let me ask something.
Dad, go ahead.
Tell him.
I have another question, Johnny. I have another question.
Johnny, we can always talk, next week sometime too. If you have more questions, you
send you
just give us a call. We'll give you some private coaching.
And that was the reason why I brought up earlier about the private sessions. That was really.
And how much do you charge?
And how much?
Were you asking for a friend?
Yeah, asking for a friend that's here. Yeah. Do you charge by the inch, Johnny? 20. All right, Johnny. You're up.
All right. So one of my questions, I was listening to one of your podcasts, and when you go on dates with other couples, you kind of know almost immediately, right? If you're attracted to that person, if it's about to go down, that type of thing. Because there was one time I think you were saying that maybe Mr. Ams was down and you were not.
Yeah,
that happens a lot.
Yeah. So has there ever been a time where you change your mind as far as like,
oh, hey, yeah,
this guy has a great personality. He's really funny. I mean, I really like his San Francisco Giants hat. That type of thing. So have you changed your mind?
It totally happens. It definitely happens because, and I think, someone with a positive personality, it makes them more attractive. Yeah. So you might meet someone and maybe, they're probably pretty good looking because you picked them on a profile to go out in the first place. So they're probably relatively good looking, or at least something that appealed to you at some point when you were looking at the profiles. But once you meet someone and they are funny or they're outgoing or they engage, you see their personality come out, it makes them more attractive.
Yeah.
even physically more attractive.
Yeah. And this is one thing I actually don't really care for about like the standard swinger culture or the old school swinger culture. It's like you feel this pressure, you have this first date that the second date needs to lead to sex. And the one thing I've learned is like, if you're going to throw off the normal rules of society, why then take on the rules of some other subculture? And I have found that I need to get to know somebody better than one date before I want to jump into bed with them. So, what we've started to do more is if a couple seems cool and awesome, we used to have red light, green light, yellow light, but like everybody was a yellow light because very few people were red lights. Very few people were green lights. Everybody was like maybe if, I don't know, the context is right and the lighting is right. And he says the right thing, like maybe I could get there. But if I just give myself more time to get to know them, which is why we love having these big social events, then I get there. Yeah, because sex is like 10% between the legs and 90% between the ears. So if there's not that connection going on upstairs, then it's not gonna lead to a really great sexual experience.
Johnny's like looking around, trying to figure that statement out.
Oh my gosh, the math!
What are you talking about between the ears?
I
Yeah.
was like, wait,
that's actually pretty good because
I'm trying to do the math in my head.
Well, we talking about
I don't have ears
communication
down
and
there.
connection.
I don't have ears down there.
Because that's a good question. I mean, have you guys had the opposite where basically you were attractive physically, but you're like, God damn, he's dumb as a rock and personality's so lame. Like, did it make a difference?
It would be. I mean,
most people are good people. Like most people are good people. I've never met someone.
We don't encounter. We haven't encountered a lot of real assholes.
Every once in a while, you'll meet somebody who's like super attractive, so they've never had to try that hard at sex, and you're like, oh, that guy's a douchebag. But it's so rare. It's mostly, but we're mostly meeting married dudes with their wives, and so they're, emotionally evolved enough to have a relationship with another person, and she's got decent taste, I'm assuming, right? Like, so it's more of a challenge sometimes that you meet like a regular dad with a dad bod, and you it takes a little while to get there personality wise than super hot dude with no personality. I mean, show me him and I don't know, put a bag over his head or something. Like it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and in this community that we've built, we really get to know people over a much longer period of time.
Relationships, right? So
Ams and Mr. Ams meet people, bring them in. We meet Mr. Kat and I meet people. We bring them in. They might not be a perfect fit for us, but somewhere in the community that we've got going on, they're going to find people that
that's a pretty good
click with.
Your answers leading to questions like references. You know what I mean? Like, other couples basically refer a lot to you guys. Like, hey, you guys should meet these people. You guys should meet those people.
Absolutely. Yeah. When we plan a big party, inevitably a couple will say, hey, we met this couple and we'd like to invite them. And so we say, well, bring them to the meet and greet. We always have a meet and greet a couple weeks before the big party where we can meet people. And then if we like them, we invite them.
Yeah. If they're good, decent people, they're probably going to connect with somebody.
They don't necessarily have to be a perfect connection for us. But if we feel like they're a good fit for the group, like someone here is going to really dig this couple, then
there you go.
It just gets bigger and bigger.
So Johnny, any questions on the type of bag you should wear?
Aww.
Johnny,
I didn't bring up the bag. I'm sorry. It just was
Johnny
in the
gets this all the time.
Johnny is kind of like the butt of the joke.
You cut me deep a little bit on that one, but I am curious. Like, would silk be better or
burlap?
Yeah, which bag is sexier?
I have never played that kink. That is not my kink.
Now you have something new.
I know. It's an episode ideas. They just come in left and right.
Oh my goodness. Homework. More homework.
Anybody else have any questions left for our guests before we end the segment?
Yeah, I want to know when can we expect season 3?
season 3 is
First
coming out.
Wednesday of April.
That's right.
Okay.
We're not that far off.
We've been talking to some amazing subject matter experts, like a championship pole dancer and Emily Nagoski, author of Come As You Are, which is a book that I would recommend that everybody
read that.
It's amazing.
Johnny, read that book.
Read that book.
Johnny, read that book.
I
Give it to your wife.
You should all read it, Johnny.
It's available on audio. And Emily
You don't
Nagoski,
even have to read.
she reads the book herself, and she's amazing.
Yes, really, really good.
Johnny just wants an invite to the meeting.
Yes.
He'll fly out.
But are you a single guy? No, you're going to bring your wife. So you better have that conversation soon.
On the plane.
Hypothetical question, because you guys are talking about the
Honey, we're going on a plane flight, and
it's actually not too far from that. How much trouble do you think I would be in? Right? If we go to a resort and then I'll be like, oh my God, there are just nothing but swingers here. Weird. Like, how much trouble do you think I can get into?
You'll be in a lot of trouble. I think.
So I think there's a certain amount of plausible deniability, just in that I remember researching like sexy adult vacations way before I knew anything about lifestyle, anything about swingers. And I had encountered Hedo, like, oh, hedonism sounds fun. And if I had showed up at Hedo, I'd be like, oh, holy shit, it's filled with swingers. So I think you might be like, how good an actor are you? Could you pull that shit off?
Because on the website, it just says clothing optional.
Right.
Would she be up for that? Clothing optional?
I don't know. It would be easy to hide the expressions on my face, but not the boner, you know?
Well, that would just be natural.
So I have to
that would
say,
be okay.
very like
voluntary.
That's right.
An order about
That's
that.
right. You can't always control
involuntary.
those things.
But we've gone to nude beaches and nude pools and stuff. It's very rare that there's like an involuntary boner. Like
we don't see it.
No, it's pretty.
And I actually think those vacations are the best place to start, or one of the best places to start if you're interested in experiencing the lifestyle, because there's absolutely no pressure to do anything. You don't even have to be naked, really. I mean, most people are at least topless for the women, and the men are usually completely naked. But there's no sex going on in the public space, like in the dining room, in the pool area. There is going to be some of that at the hot tub, but it's not like in your face everywhere you go. And there's not couples coming up to you constantly going, hey, you want to hook up? It's very much more subtle than that. It's people talking, getting to know each other. At Desire, you would get these yellow wristbands. So everybody would know that you were new. If it's your first time going, they give you the yellow ones. So everybody wants to talk to you, but they're so nice and so friendly. Swingers are the nicest people you've ever met. They're not pressuring you to have sex, because there's plenty of couples there that will have sex with them. They don't want to push anybody into doing something.
And they're going home and having amazing sex with their partner.
Right.
So it's just not that big a deal if you
but
don't.
The theme parties are fun,
Yeah.
and the dancing is fun. And then you can just go right back to your room with your own partner and never have sex with anybody else there. And no one would know, and no one would care.
A lot of people who go to these lifestyle friendly resorts are not swingers.
Lifestyle.
They're not swingers. They just like hanging out. Even on the cruise, there are people who are there who just enjoy hanging out in a sexy, adults only atmosphere. So you absolutely can go and not feel pressured to cross that boundary.
I feel like I would be wearing the yellow wristband no matter how many times I've been. Please talk to me.
You probably pay extra for that.
That's right. Fresh meat.
They would know him right away too. Like, wait, weren't you with the two hot wives on the podcast? Like, damn it. So you knew I snuck in here with my wife. I'm trying.
That's true, though. I mean, you're right about especially beaches. There's a lot of facility going on. There's nobody's
paying attention.
No, it's
nobody cares.
It's almost weird if you are. It's like, dude,
yeah,
calm down.
Right.
I don't know. It's easy for you to say, Hugh, but you don't have a dolphin tattoo on the back of your shoulder.
I do think if you had like a dude with a tramp stamp, I'd be looking. I'd be staring at that.
There you go, Johnny.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There you go.
Look at that Johnny smile. Look at it.
Aw.
I know.
Now he's
He's got
red.
dimples.
He's back in the game.
You guys just.
Oh, you guys. And Ricky was like, how much on Expedia? How much on Expedia?
Right? Well, if anybody else have any more questions?
No
Johnny.
questions. I just wanted to thank you, ladies, for joining us. This was a lot of fun, very informative, and maybe you'll be getting a couple emails from me soon.
Thank you for having us. This was a blast.
Thank you so much. Hugh, Johnny, Lafayette, Carlos, you guys are amazing. Thank you for
guys are
having
Oh,
me.
you guys are
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Check out Two Hot Wives, where you can find any podcast. Go to twohotwives.com. There's so much more on there. Season 3 coming soon. You said April?
April.
First week of April.
Yep.
First week of April. Any preview? Any little tidbits you want to? What's the first episode?
Teaser.
We're trying to line up
We talked about the pole
squirting.
dancing.
We've got
squirting.
Yeah, we got squirting lined up.
Some BDSM.
Yes. What are we doing? We're doing restraints. Love it. I'm
See?
super excited
Yeah.
about
There's
that.
so much to look forward to in season 3, and Johnny's face already says so many times with 7 different emails.
No, I was like, restraints. Like, what if I brought my work restraints?
No, he's really saying, can we extend another hour?
That's a paid session. But no, seriously, thanks for joining us. This has really been a lot of fun, and I think our listeners are going to be super informed, especially this type of topic, because it's not something a lot of people talk about. I think they're going to be super intrigued, and you can get more of it at Two Hot Wives the podcast. Remember that, people. Subscribe, download, review, turn on notifications. New episode coming April. See?
Gosh, we need to have him on our show to plug it all.
That's right.
Anything you guys would like to say before you guys?
No, you
I
did
think
an
we said it
excellent
all.
job.
All right.
Thank
We
you.
put it all out there.
Signing off, gentlemen.
Well, thank you guys very much. And we'll take one more break here on Nerds Talking the Podcast.
Hi, we're Entertain This.
From the likes of just entertainment, like seeing TV shows and video
A
games.
podcast encapsulating all things entertainment.
Go ahead, tell me it's based off it. Yeah, there you go.
We're 3 friends who get together weekly to discuss things like music,
The heavy metal heads with the leather cut off.
books,
I want to talk about a book called The Way of Kings.
movies,
I saw the trailer for the Impractical Jokers movie. And I'm pissed.
games,
Because I totally understand this game is super ambitious at the time with 32 people in the same lobby when Call of Duty could barely support 16.
things that generally we enjoy.
Like, look at your life and just thinking, we need to break free.
That sounds familiar. That sounds really familiar. I'm not sure why. Yeah.
And we hope you will too.
We're professionals.
No, we're not.
So come and listen to our show and let us know what you think.
Entertain this.
Entertain this.
Entertain this.
Welcome back to Nerds Talking the Podcast. Here with Johnny, Carlos, Hugh, and I'm Lafayette. And if you didn't know by now, those were the ladies of Two Hot Wives, the podcast. So rate, subscribe, download, review, turn on notifications for our show and Two Hot Wives. And we all saw the movie Old, and then Hugh told us a couple weeks back, we have to review the movie Old. We have to.
I did say that.
And he was so enthused, we thought he may have saw it. So we all watched it. We were all obligated to watch the movie Old. Hugh, fuck off. Anybody else want to jump in?
Wait. I thought it was a really good movie. I liked the twist at the end. I thought that was really interesting.
You didn't see the movie?
Well, no, I did. I did see it. It was
Okay, tell me the twist. Hold on.
Seen,
What is the twist?
They're all the same. There's
What
a
is the
twist
twist?
at the
Well,
end.
they get older at the toward the end, and then the one guy doesn't, and he reverts back to his original age.
You go fuck off, man.
No, this was Benjamin Button that you're thinking of.
It's nothing like that.
But what kind
But
of?
I do like the fact that you try to guess the twist and you're so off. You're like so off.
All right, I'll listen to the review though, because I do want to hear before. I
Oh
see
my
it.
God, Hugh.
You no,
McCord.
watch the movie and then we can attack you. And then
Yeah, you have to watch it because you made us watch it.
This is
So,
true.
I am going to watch it for sure.
Okay.
When,
And
when
then,
do you think this is going to happen, Hugh?
This week.
Before we get old.
So then what we're gonna do
Ow,
then?
Carlos.
Yeah.
Ow.
What we're gonna do then is because since we're all fooled by Hugh, we're all gonna or have seen the Batman. So our next show will be primarily about the Batman because that's everyone's talking about that movie. So just let you guys know, we are gonna have the Batman episode coming next week. We'll have other stuff, but primarily the Batman episode. I mean, so far 3 of us have seen it, so we're just waiting on the guy that hasn't seen Old. So
I will see it this weekend. I promise.
Okay, let me ask you this.
We're doing it day-night.
Let me ask you about the Batman. Are you excited to see that movie?
Me, absolutely.
Okay, and what is your anticipation level? What do you expect? Do you expect it to be the best of the Batman?
Well, no, I've read a little bit of what Pattinson had said about how he played the role, similar to wasn't it a guy from The Godfather? He played it a little similar to his portrayal. Who was it that he said he kind of modeled his portrayal after? I thought it was one of the characters in The Godfather, but maybe not. But yeah, I'm very interested in seeing Pattinson because Pattinson in The Lighthouse I thought was great with Willem Dafoe. If he had not done The Lighthouse, I might have been like, oh Jesus, it's Robert Pattinson from what was the name of the long-standing Twilight. He's gonna just totally fuck this up. He's not gonna be good. But after seeing The Lighthouse, it is apparent to me that the guy gives a shit about his craft and is into doing justice to whatever role it is he's in. So I
haven't seen The Lighthouse, but the trailer reminded me of that fake trailer on damn it, what's the one where Robert Downey Jr.
Tropic Thunder.
Oh,
Tropic Thunder. So that the trailer for Lighthouse reminded me of the trailer with Tobey Maguire and Robert Downey Jr. The two priests.
I mean, I think superhero movies are the most scrutinized casting, and it's funny because it primarily just falls on Batman movies.
Did you guys see The Lighthouse? Did you see The Lighthouse?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Are you? Do you want to review that next week too, Hugh?
Yeah, you want to go with The Lighthouse too now next week?
No,
because I don't think you've seen it.
All I can say to you is it was most definitely not like the movie you just compared it to. It was pretty much the opposite of that movie.
Okay,
I heard it's good though.
It's good to know. I would have watched the other one because it looked hilarious.
But like I was saying, Batman.
The other one was good.
Think about Batman. When Michael Keaton was casted as Batman, no one expected that.
Oh, there was so much backlash with that, right?
Yeah,
because he was Mr. Mom and Gung Ho, Beetlejuice.
And the writer of that movie, who he wanted as the Joker originally. He didn't want Jack Nicholson. It's just what Burton and the studio wanted. But who do you think the writer wanted?
No idea.
William Dafoe. He was his original choice to play Joker.
I think he would have been a good
Willem
Joker.
Dafoe would have been tremendous.
Yeah,
his face already looks like the Joker, right?
Yeah, and he's slender like the Joker. Exactly. And then of course you have the Heath Ledger as the Joker. People were up in arms about that. Heath Ledger, what? He can't play the Joker.
Oh, and all those critics were silenced because he was amazing.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He killed it.
And then of course Ben Affleck as Batman threw everybody off completely. Everyone was like, "What the hell, Ben Affleck?" And he was good too. There hasn't. I mean,
who's your worst
George
Batman?
Clooney, George Clooney. And it's not his fault. The movie was horrible.
I actually didn't mind that one.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. If you gave George Clooney a really good script, he would have been great because he was like in his prime at that moment. He was probably the biggest star in Hollywood, and he got the shittiest damn movie to make. Basically a campy 60s TV show version of the movie.
I don't know. I didn't think it was that terrible. Like that's not my least favorite.
You were terrible.
Okay, good comeback. All right.
that's all my comebacks.
I'm thinking the Val Kilmer one was the worst one for me.
Oh no. Val Kilmer was a good Batman.
No, he's talking about movie though. He's talking about movie.
I think he's right about Clooney though. Clooney was bad.
It was a hokey movie. It was just a hokey movie. It was so like.
Well, not only that, and then when Clooney came out and said he tried to play Bruce Wayne like he was gay, that didn't make any sense. That didn't make any sense at all.
How about when he busted out the Bat Visa? I hate that movie so much. We'll talk all things Batman next week when everyone has seen the Batman, and we will take it apart, rebuild it, and see what we get. Wait. All that and more. Oh, Hugh, wait.
I'm trying to find who he. Here's an article.
Don't type in gay Batman.
No.
Don't type in gay Batman. That's all.
He said he modeled it after Kurt Cobain, which is weird.
Oh, you're talking about
No, that's what Matt Reeves.
Yeah, no,
Matt
back to
Reeves
Pattinson.
said that.
Yeah,
Oh,
Matt
Pattinson.
Reeves. Well, remember,
Oh,
the
Matt Reeves
director
did. He said he
drives the
saw
character.
Kurt Cobain
Oh,
and
okay.
Pattinson, and that's why he casted Pattinson.
Okay.
I mean, he was dark. He was a big. I always get
No,
this wrong.
you stop it. Don't talk about the movie.
Emo?
No.
La 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 la.
No,
Don't
we're
tell
on
me.
embargo until
I always have to think about it when I say that because I'm like, oh man, I was such an emo. No, that's or
No,
an
you
emu.
weren't. You weren't
I
an
always
emo.
say emu.
You're an
I'm like,
emu?
Yeah, you are an emu though.
but it's an emo because he's
whatever.
emotional. Is that what that stands
Whatever.
for?
They say don't talk about it. Okay,
I
knock
will
it
say
off.
I will say this one thing. When I said to Carini, do you want to go? She's not a big comic book fan. I said, you want to see the Batman? She said, yeah. So
What a story. What a story.
thank you.
Good ending. Thank you. Good ending.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna lie. The twist was better than old. That was pretty good.
That was a twist I was not expecting.
I turned to my
at
buddy.
all.
Hey man,
At
you see
all.
Batman this weekend? All right. Well, tune in next week for our Batman show as we talk all things Batman and of course the Batman. And we review it, break it down, talk other Batman movies and more. All that on Nerds Talking the Podcast. For Johnny.
See ya.
For Hugh.
Live long and prosper.
For Carlos.
Bye-bye.
See you guys next time on Nerds Talking the Podcast.